harmful algae. This is your specialty. There's been some news popping up in South Africa recently. So I want to start by asking you what actually causes a toxic algal bloom.
Well, there are many causes of toxic algal blooms, and there are many different types of algal blooms, just as there are many different types of harmful plants on land. The harmful algae, we use the term harmful algae or harmful algal blooms as a general term, but of course, there are many different species. And we are seeing more and more of these events in many different places around the world now. One of those causes is nutrient pollution, nutrients running off the land, nitrogen and phosphorus. Just as plants on land are fertilized with nitrogen and phosphorus, when those nutrients wind up in aquatic systems, they fertilize the algae and the algae grow faster. And sometimes specific species are selected. And that can be due to the type of nitrogen or the proportion of nitrogen and phosphorus. The other major factor that's contributing to more and more of these events is climate change. We are seeing warmer waters in places. We are seeing not just warmer waters, but warm waters and warm air contributes to differences in storm events. So large major storm events can be wetter because warmer air holds more moisture. So when those hurricanes hit, there's more water, which means more runoff, which means more nutrients from the land can make their way into the water. And climate change can also cause the physics of the water to change, more stratification. So sometimes algae can stay in the surface longer, and it again can select for certain types of species.
Is the ocean also absorbing more carbon dioxide, and is that contributing at all?
Yes, of course. Oceans are in many places becoming more acidic. And it may seem like a small change if you measure it on the pH scale, but you have to remember the pH scale is a log scale. So every change is really a tenfold change. And yes, some harmful algae do quite well under these changing conditions.
Hmm. Can the harmful algae be toxic to animals in the ocean?
Yes, and different species make different types of toxins. And we refer to them as toxins because they can harm animals. They can harm us when we consume seafood. Many of these compounds are compounds that we would refer to as neurotoxins. They affect the nervous system. So shellfish, which filter algae out of the water, like mussels and oysters, they're a natural filtration, but they're often not harmed by harmful algae because they don't have a nervous system, and therefore they're not affected by these compounds. But when we eat those organisms, we are definitely affected. And of course, larger organisms can be affected in many different ways. They can kill fish directly. Seals and large organisms can also get affected when they consume these toxic algae. They either consume them directly or they consume them through the fish that they are eating.
So there's been some stories coming out of South Africa really in the past year of seals and lately more aggressive seals or seals dying. And there is speculation that it is the toxicity of harmful algae. Do you know anything about that? Is there a scientific backing to this, or is it just speculation at this point?
The hypothesis is that these seals are affected by the toxic algae Pseudonychia, which is a diatom, and it makes a compound that is one of these neurotoxins, and animals can become disoriented. They can show signs of epilepsy type behavior. And of course, in high enough doses, it can also be lethal.
So if they're, say, sick and lounging on a beach and a tourist approaches them, could they also become aggressive?
That may be one of the signs of this.
Is there a reason geographically why this is being seen off the coast of South Africa?
Well, we're seeing these events all over the world. And the physics of the water around South Africa have been conducive to these kinds of events in the past. And many of these factors are changing, right? We're seeing warmer waters, large climate patterns are changing. So the fact that new events are popping up in new and different places is no longer really a surprise.
It seems to me that there's been, and maybe it's just me, but it seems like there's been a number of stories recently about whales washing up on American shores, both East Coast and West Coast. Has there been any research done as to why, or any speculation as to what's happening there?
Whales too are impacted by harmful algae. Typically, at least in the East Coast of the US, it's a different species of harmful algae that they are affected by. But yes, indeed, the harmful algae gets into their food and they are affected by the toxins.
Should we be concerned about eating shellfish?
In general, shellfish, at least in the US, is very safe. Virtually everywhere, shellfish is highly monitored. People who do find themselves affected by toxins are those who perhaps ignore warning signs. If a beach is closed for harvesting, they harvest anyway. These are the people who often become sick in the US. In many other parts of the world, monitoring isn't quite as sufficient as it is here in the US. No, it is a problem. It's a growing problem, and more and more places around the world are seeing events that they've never seen before, and so
So this isn't the last of aggressive seals, is what you're saying.
it's very unfortunate, but it is one of these major ecological changes that is occurring now, and many causes, many organisms, and it's a real complex problem.
Hey, thank you so much for watching. While you're here, check out some other videos you just may like.